Hello and good evening. Welcome to Conversations with Esther. It's an amazing evening, and I see Bella. Allow me to call her Bella. We were talking just before this. We've grown up together, so allow me to call her Bella for today. I see Rosemary in the room. It is our custom. Rosemary, are you able to unmute and pray for us?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this beautiful evening. We worship you, we adore you. We have gathered together, Lord, to learn from each other. We commit the speaker, we commit each and every one of us unto you, Lord. We ask for your guidance, we ask for your knowledge, oh Father, that you may enlighten us, oh Father, so that you may be able to learn. And Lord, my Lord, that you may be able to put everything that you learn into practice. We ask the Holy Spirit to take control, be with us, even as we begin and even as we end. We pray all this, believing and trusting in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary. So today is an interesting evening. You know, I am that one person, Bella. I walk into a shop and my experience is not good. It never leaves my mind. Never, ever leaves my mind. So maybe let me just admit this person. Maybe to kick off, allow me to share my screen on this one. So this is what we have today. We are super excited. Rosbella Abok, I've been waiting for this session with you. And I know you are such an expert, and thank you for taking your time. Thank you for sparing this time. I know we had to push and push until we got a slot where you're available. Thank you very much. So Rosbella is our guest today. Bella is the global head of customer experience at NG Energy Access. We will hear from her, Africa. We'll hear from her in a few minutes. Let me just give you a brief of Conversations with Esther, especially for those that may not be familiar with this. Conversations with Esther is a professional media platform that informs, educates, and rebuilds mindsets. So that is our agenda, to rebuild your mindset, to ignite ethical practices within organizations and the community at large. So Conversations with Esther speaks to matters affecting workplace relationships, productivity, and progress. We provide a safe space, bringing to the table decision makers, industry players like Bella, and key stakeholders with a name to promote accountability and excellence in the workspace. Now, our passion has led us to customize relevant solutions that promote organizational cultures, wellness, and wholeness. So when we talk of cultures, we talk about your systems, we talk about your customer service, we talk about whatever happens within your organization and your experience and the customer experiences. When we talk about wellness to you, how okay are you, in the workspace? Are you comfortable? Are things working out? Do you want us to talk about something? And I know people will talk about toxicity 100 times, but we can as well talk about the good things in the workspace. I know toxicity, Bella, is something that customers are almost talking about it. I think they're also experiencing it. Employees look like we are also giving it back to them, We get it in equal measure, we give it back to them in equal measure. So we will talk about that. So you can follow us on Conversations with Esther Katiba. YouTube, LinkedIn is Esther Katiba, and Conversations with Esther on Instagram. Now, the background of this conversation, and I know most people have confused customer service, customer experience. Bella is in the room. I will not attempt to clear that, but I want to read this. Warren Buffett said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Now, Maya says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Mahatma Gandhi says, a customer is the most important visitor on our premises. He is not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. He is not an interruption in our work. He is the purpose of it. He is not an outsider in our business. He is part of it. We are not doing him a favor by serving him. He is doing us a favor by giving us an opportunity to do so. And that cut deep, Bella. You know, sometimes we think we are doing a customer a favor to serve them, but they're doing us a favor to even walk into just our own, our premises. Just give me a minute, allow me to just admit maybe the few, or in a minute, it's okay. We will talk about mapping the customer's journeys, the role of employees in customer experience. And I know that one most people will really want to hear. What does an employee have to do with customer experience? And the world talks about the employee serving the customer. But Bella, I have a question and I would want you to address this as we go on. What is the role of the employer? I kept thinking about it today. What is the role of the employer in customer experience? And what is the role of HR in customer experience? Because we blame the sales and marketing team. We blame, you know, the customer facing roles. HR is more support role. And I know we are getting into the boardrooms as HR, but what is the role of HR in customer experience? So you will tell us more about that. I think we will talk about more about the upcoming event, but it's good for me to just give you a highlight that we have an event for women coming up this Saturday on Wanadada Tufunguke. It still touches the workspace. Conversations with Esther speaks to your wellness, and we go to workspaces. I don't know whether you ever think, Bella, that the police station is a workstation. It's a workspace, and we are customers. You know, when I get to the police stations and I'm going to seek for services, sometimes you feel intimidated, but really, is that what you should feel? Because you're a customer, isn't it? If you're going for help, you're a customer. If you go in, walk in, is this a place, a space, and I want you to speak to this, is this a space that I should really freely walk into? I don't want to say so much, but conversations with Esther, for us, we walk in and teach them and tell them that it's a workspace and people need to enjoy coming in. People need to feel safe, you know. And as well, we also take conversations on mental wellness to our officers, our security officers, so that they're also able to give us great customer experience. We go to schools. I don't know whether you think of a school. The photo there is of children in school, and the other one is the teachers. And we talk to teachers as well, because sometimes we think a workspace is that office, you know, that former office, Bella, is what people think is a workspace, but the school is also a workspace, you know. So what experience am I expecting from a school? What customer experience, if there are teachers in the room or lecturers, what customer experience should your students have? But conversations with Esther still goes to schools and all that. We engage HR professionals as well and talk to them because there's something we call, and I'm very careful about it, Bella, internal customers. Please speak about internal customers, because one time I worked in an organization, and I will not name organizations here, and I decided to consume a product within the organization, and it did not go so well with me, you know. It reacted on me. And when I went back to the organization and said, this doesn't seem to work for me, it wasn't taken so well. So how are we handling our internal and external customers? So that's just about conversations with Esther, authoring a book, motivational talks and all that. And as I stop sharing this, I think we will definitely go into introducing Bella. Just allow me to do this, Bella. Yes. Allow me to admit we have quite a number in the waiting room. Yes. And as I introduce Bella in this conversation, because I want to give her time, Rosebella Abok is a global customer experience leader. Bella, as she's better known amongst her peers, closest friends and family, is an exceptional, accomplished leader. and customer experience advocate. She's considered a thought leader who has run a customer experience center of excellence, driving NPS, better practice, adoption, and accountability. She possesses a strong background in developing and implementing policies that translate to streamlined operations, much to the delight of fellow colleagues and customers. She is highly adept at collaboratively analyzing and closing process gaps and developing strategies in customer experience aligned to meet corporate objectives and business outcomes. Bella is NPS certified and a customer journey architect, currently pursuing her MBA at USIU. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Mathematics and Statistics from Moy University and a diploma in Business Management. She is recognized by mycustomer.com as top 5 2021 global CX leader and is the Rome Africa Wowza something. Bella, what's that? Award winner 2020. You will tell us that. She continues to be recognized as a system thinker within cross-functional teams, well-versed in utilizing design thinking to propel customer-driven growth. And I know she had said you didn't have to say that, but Bella, I think it's important to give credit where credit is due. You are an asset in the industry. Welcome and talk to us. Talk to us about customer experience. Let me give you the floor. I am a HR professional. I'm not a customer experience expert. The floor is yours. Karibu.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak about customer experience and to have this engagement where we marry employee experience to customer experience within our organizations. I see that we have a couple of participants who have joined. Thank you, guests, and I honor you for, taking this time apart to come and have this conversation with us. Esther, you mentioned a couple of things around the difference between customer service and customer experience. That would be a wonderful place to start. And in defining that, I would like to quickly jump into an experience that I had quite recently with a brand that I encountered on social media, Instagram to be specific. So I was shopping around, and I know that right now the trend is to ask your friends and family for referrals when you're looking for items, and or to go into social media across different platforms and groups when you're looking for an item. And that one of the requirements is that you'll be able to pay with M-Pesa or at least make a safe payment, as well as arrange for delivery. And I see that even providers right now provide a timeline for when your delivery can be done, when you're within Nairobi or without Nairobi, which is just awesome. Not to mention that the online platforms where you can now purchase items are not only limited to the Kenyan market, but to the global village. So this experience that I had was with a Kenyan merchant, and I was looking for an item of clothing that I needed for an event. I went into my Instagram, and in the search place, I just put in the item that I needed and in the specific color that I wanted it. And a couple of pages came on, and I was able to scroll right through. When I opened one of, the ones that I consider to be amongst the best, I clicked on there and I continued looking through their feed and their posts. I was really impressed. I clicked onto a post and I wanted to see if in the details of the comments they have provided the price range, and in their bio if they've given the delivery details. The interesting thing is that I was able to WhatsApp them. They gave me a WhatsApp number, and also I was able to go to their website. And even on their website, the WhatsApp icon is at the right corner, where you can click it and immediately takes you to the WhatsApp platform where you can chat them. And that is exactly what happened. I made a request for the item that I needed. I had screenshot it and I had taken the price details and the delivery details, and I asked them about those items. And I thought that the engagement was awesome because they sent me alternatives as well. And they chatted me about some specifications of those clothing items that I needed. Their response time was excellent, and I was impressed. The other request that I made, because I primarily work from home, is, are you able to deliver the following items to me so that I can fit them? And if I find something that I need, I will make the payment. And if I don't get something that I need, or if all of the items or some of the items are not a fit for me, then I can send them back. And they agreed, they were agreeable to that. And they delivered the items to my home. The rider experience was very interesting. This person becomes the face of that company when they bring those items to your preferred location. And the rider was very pleasant. And at some point, he also showed that he was impatient because he had a number of items to deliver. So I engage him and I ask him if I'm paying him separately or if the cost can be incorporated as a total of the item that I purchase. And he makes that very clear to me. And then I say to him, you know what, today is a working day for me. And actually, I may not be able to fit all of these items and give you feedback and the business feedback immediately. Can I be allowed to hold on to the items for a bit? To which he says, wacha niwapigie simu. Let me call them. And he calls and they say no. And someone calls me and says, Bella, it looks like you are interacting with a different person within the organization. Our policy does not allow us to have items stay over with the customer. Within minutes of delivery, you need to give us feedback and you need to make your purchase. I thought that was so inflexible of them. And the interaction I'd already had with them was quite good. So I dash back to the house and somehow I manage. And out of the 5 or 6 items, I pick one item. I make the payment. I give back the rider the remaining items. And that was that. A few days later, because the item that I purchased was very good and I got feedback from my friends and family, I decide to engage them for another item. And this time around, I told them, according to the fit of size, the color, I gave them all the details and I told them, actually, I would like to walk into your store because you have a brick and mortar store and it's near my home. I'd like to walk in. So this is another type of experience altogether. But because I was engaging them on WhatsApp, I gave them the details of the time I would arrive, the items I was interested in because I'd already looked at the photos. I now knew the general fit of the items that they sell. I'd already told them all this. Of course, my expectation was when I walk in at that agreed time, I would have some items laid out. And for me, it would be try something on, and if something's good, then you're able to take it away. Also, it was a very interesting encounter because as women, I mean, we pull some of these stunts. So I went ready to dress into whatever I would get that matches my feet so that I'm able to go to the office. So I walk in and the items haven't been laid out for me. I'm like, honestly, I chatted you guys on WhatsApp. I'm already your customer. I bought from you last week or the other week. You have details of my size. I was at least expecting that someone would be able to attend to me when I walk in. So one of their staff woos me away to look at other items. And I thought that was very brilliant of her. But she does that, of course, to save the other team member a piece of my mind or my feedback, which I openly give most of the time. And then they go searching for my items. First of all, they go searching for my chat. It appears they're using multiple devices. They're not even sure who chatted me. They're not even sure who I am at this point. Anyway, they find my chat, they find the items. I find something really good. And I find more than one item. Again, as women, when we go shopping, we know that we know what we are shopping for, but we cannot resist when we find more than one item that we really think is good. And then there's this line we use, ati utaipata siku ingine, ukipata kitu, just buy. In English, you might not find this item again. If you find it now and it's a good fit and it's a good item, just buy it. So I fell into that trap and I bought more than one item. I put on one, I went to work. I instructed them to make a delivery. At this point, I'm hoping they now know who I am, where they delivered the last item to. It will be a seamless process. Please send me the bill so that I'm able to pay the rider, now that we already know the estimated distance and all that. Also, here's a phone number that you can call because I will not be at home. And I dashed to work. I hope we're all still following my story. If we are, I would love to see your reactions, maybe a thumbs up or some form of encouragement that we are still listening to my story.
Yes, Bella. I'm still here.
Awesome. I get to work and I go on with my day. I get back home late, and the next morning I say to my nanny, I'm well dressed and I'm ready. Please give me the items that were delivered yesterday. I'm very sure I'm going to put on one of them. And my nanny then, she goes off to, Mama hazikuletwa, in English. Mom, those items were not delivered. Huh? And I'm like, I'm so disappointed in these guys. I'd swapped my card a good one. I'd bought 2 extra items the previous day. We had agreed on what should happen. And so I take back to WhatsApp. And I know for some of us, that's the time we go to Instagram or Twitter and we really write it out and we write all of our feedback. But I accorded them enough respect to chat them on WhatsApp. And I asked what happened. We had an agreement. These items are supposed to be delivered. This is the time that they say, oh, we were not able to deliver yesterday. And they now offered an apology. Also, I think what really got to me is the fact that I needed to ask them. Honestly, by morning, they should have realized the items were not delivered the previous day. Someone should have given me some heads up. Anyway, I decided to wait for them. The items got delivered. I paid the rider. Going back to the definition of customer service and customer experience, what we commonly call customer service is just that, the service that I get directly from your brand. When I'm making my purchase, when I'm making my payment, when one of your staff members is talking to me on phone or any other channel, like WhatsApp, what I've described, or the rider who comes in person to meet me, that is customer service. Customer experience is everything that I go through rationally, emotionally, everything that I'm able to feel or sense, touch, see, experience, listen to about your brand, whether I purchase from you or not. That is customer experience. That feeling that I get when I see a billboard of Coke, that is still customer experience. What people tell me when I listen to their feedback about your brand, that is customer experience. When so that's the element of seeing, that's the element of hearing. There's the element of touch. There's also the element of smell. If you interact with fragrances and someone just makes past you and you get a scent of their fragrance and you're very interested, that is customer experience. If you touch something, if you taste food that's been cooked or delivered from somewhere, that is customer experience. It has to do with everything sensory, everything emotional, and everything rational about a brand and how we experience that brand. And so customer experience, like we like to say in the CX world, is not a department. It is something that we should practice across the organization. In all functions of the organization, we should be able to give each other a very good experience within the business as colleagues. And that translates to how our customer-facing teams, how our riders, how our shop attendants give service to our customers. And researchers across board, McKinsey, Gartner, have all done research that links employee experience to customer experience. That if finance is working very well with marketing, as an internal customer, then marketing is likely to create campaigns and promotions that translate into good customer experience. Like I've just described, it's that billboard that we see. It is that recommendation we get from a friend or a family member. It is that food that we taste. It is that scent that we catch a whiff of. Right. So Esther, I hope I've touched a little bit on the definition of customer service and customer experience through the story that I've just given.
Yes, you have. And you reminded me, I honestly, I had forgotten. I think I got over it, but it took time. I had a very bad experience with a certain drink, a juice. And I was also very gracious. Sometimes I think I'm what people call a perfectionist, and I try to regulate that quite often, but the experience wasn't very good. So you buy the juice and open it and it has molds in it, but the date is, it's not expired. So I decide, let me just look for the contacts. And that's the reason why I think, as you're saying, we have the contacts on the branding and on the packaging. So I call and the lady says, oh, we will get back to you. Give us a few minutes, 2 days, 3 days, I'm calling. Nobody is talking to me. You know, you're calling them for 2-3 days. You look like just what Mahatma Gandhi was saying, like they're doing you a favor as a customer to be buying from them. So I then decided, I think social media will work better, because actually the juice, to be honest, the juice had been bought for a sick person. So, you know, when you open and that's a critical person, actually she was on some machine and all that, and you're thinking, no, this thing can't make its way into hospitals and the other places. So you call and have a conversation with people for 2-3 days. I'm calling again. Hey guys, you said you're going to call me. Oh, we will talk to you. We are sending somebody. I go to social media and say this and this and this, and the juice is here. It's not even expired. And that's when I think everybody wakes up in the organization and they send to you a regional person, they send to you, and someone comes to your office with 12 packets of juice, and you're saying, wait a minute, I can afford the juice. It's an experience that I'm talking about, you know? So the boss had to come in my office and explain to me that this is how the juice is manufactured. This is what could have happened. Maybe some air or something got in the packaging. But I'm thinking, really, did it have to get this far? Because a customer is pushing you every day. Someone is trying to say something. Because when a customer walks in, I've worked in retail. When a customer walks into a shop, really, they can tell. Actually, they can even tell, as you're saying, the employee experience. They can tell if the employees are happy or not, you know? Because we kind of project that to a customer, you know, employees pull to the side. And employees sometimes can also be nasty, for lack of a better word, you know, if the organization is not good to them. And that's why HR professionals in the room, sometimes what the employees are experiencing is what they're giving back, actually equal measure to the customer. And the finance department is wondering, and the business owners are wondering why we're not making business, you know? So maybe speak to employee experience and really what for people in the room that are they also have businesses. I think there's that need to respond quickly. I've seen a lot of conversations. As you're saying, women are very good at buying things online. Sometimes you ask a question and I see people online saying, are these people there? You know, you comment on something, you say, do you have this brand? Do you have this? Do you have this? The questions are in thousands and nobody is talking. So why did you even post it in the first place, Bella? Why did you post it if you can't even respond?
If you not respond,
that's the thing.
I hear you on the voice of the customer and the voice of the employee. So an employee will give feedback about their experience as an employee to HR as a department, maybe during the employee surveys, the periodic surveys that are sent out for employees to tell us a little bit more about their experience and their satisfaction levels. And employees will also share with their peers. They will tell them about their experience while facing a customer or just how they expect to be served. At the very same time, our customers are giving us their voice. So they are talking to us through social media. They are talking to us through other channels. They're calling into our call center. And what I'd like to comment there about the voice of the employee and the voice of the customer is that feedback is only as good as we can action it. It's not enough that you have said something and explained something about your experience. It is the action that follows. And so maybe I'll just pose a challenge to the HR practitioners in the room, the heads of people and culture. There is doing the employee survey, and there is looking at the insights and the feedback that employees have given, and understanding that there's a common thread that is running through that feedback. And depending on what point of the employee journey, maybe they've just joined the organization and they're 3 months old and they're going through their probation. Or maybe they are thinking about joining your organization, because that feedback also comes through not only on LinkedIn, but Glassdoor, etc. Or they have been in the organization for a while and they're giving you feedback that pertains to how processes have been carried out and how there's been change in the organization. And the other one that is the least favorite for most people, but I think is an area where we need to zoom into, is the exit journey. When our employees are taking a decision to leave the organization, and or the organization has taken that decision to separate with the employee, the kind of experience that that employee will have and the feedback that they will give about the organization to the organization and outside there to their friends and their family and anyone who can listen. Very important. This feedback does make its way to someone in the organization or to some department in the organization. Truly, what do we do about it? Yeah. And how can we make sure that when we action that feedback, then the impact is felt with the necessary stakeholders and the necessary parties, in this case, the employees. When it comes to the voice of the customer, and our customers are sharing that feedback either through a tool that we have provided them with. I see these days companies have a QR code that you can scan and you quickly fill out a survey about your feedback. And I also hear people say, you know, how many times will I give feedback to this organization? Do they really do anything about it? I've said this time and time again, I'm not seeing a change. And that voice is very powerful because now there's tools that do that analysis in real time. There's technology that enables our customer-facing teams within the organization to look at feedback from a trend perspective, to pick out the sentiments of customers in real time, to understand their locations, and to see that they can action that feedback. I once encountered a platform that sends an email and or an SMS alert to the head of customer experience whenever there is detractor feedback. And detractors here are customers that rate their experience anywhere between 0 and 6 on a scale of 0 to 10. And that alert is sent out in real time. And if it's not sent out to the head of the department, it's sent out to someone designated within the team who needs to understand what has immediately happened to the customer and what needs to change. This person is also responsible for calling back that customer in not less than a certain agreed timeline with a solution. And sometimes the solution here is not immediate, but it's a form of service recovery. Something that enables the customer to understand, we see you, we hear you, and we've done something about it. I'll give an example of a food delivery service. I will not mention which one, but they have a brand promise around delivery within a stipulated period of time. Now, the interesting part is, to my experience, how I've seen that brand is they deliver within that period of time. And it has been one of the things that they rally about their brand. Now, to my knowledge, this is exactly what happens to them. When you rate them for their service in terms of delivery, when you rate them for the product, which is the food that has arrived to you, they will call you. Even if the feedback is good or bad, they will call you, they will circle back with an action. If you've given a lot of insight, they will ensure that you're able to experience another product, or, you know, they will make sure that on your next delivery, they delight you as a customer. Why? Because they know that the person you're sharing the meal with is somebody you will tell about the brand. They know that if your sibling calls you and says, hey, what are you doing right now? You will rant and rave about them. You know, I'm eating food from, and they delivered it in good time and it's still hot. And you will tell them about it because they are brand centric. They are customer centric. On the other hand, with the story that I gave about the walk-in store and how I was able to shop both on WhatsApp and in person at the store, I wonder to myself if the owner of this particular store is satisfied with the sales that come in on a daily, and they think honestly that they're doing very well as a brand, and yet there's some money being left on the table. There's customers that are walking out or they're quitting their chats, both on Instagram and WhatsApp, because of a poor response time, or because they walked into the shop and somebody was not able to acknowledge them, nor the request they had made on WhatsApp. I wonder if we are also owners of such businesses and we have employed someone who receives feedback, because I gave my feedback verbally, but I'm not sure that they actioned it. And I'm really not sure that feedback arrived to the owner. I can see someone in the chat saying, wow, Bella, I'd love to know which store that is. Nione kando kwa tent. Please see me afterwards. Let's chat afterwards. But yes, I wonder if at the very top level in our organizations, we have visibility about what's happening to our customers. And if they are giving that feedback, whether it's reaching us, and how many customers are experiencing it, good or bad, what impact does it have on their spend behavior, on how much money they can give us as an organization? Better yet, what is our potential of referrals, or how much are we losing in business because of bad feedback? So like I mentioned before, there's a couple of researchers, the McKinseys, the Gartners, the Forresters. And there was a study that was done, and they were able to equate that one bad experience with a customer is equivalent to another 26 bad experiences with customers. And so there's customers who walk out. They don't even tell you that they will never purchase from you again, or they will not interact with you again. They don't give you that feedback. They just go away. And then there's customers who'll finish a purchase with you, you know, tumalizane tu, they will not purchase from you again. And most likely, all of those two customers that I've mentioned will tell their family, their friends, their workmates, oh, you're ordering from so-and-so. I'm telling you the kind of experience I had with them. And so that I just don't blow things out of proportion, today, I have had lunch with one of my girlfriends. And I've told her about today's conversation. And she has told me, Bella, while we are at it, and now that I have you in front of me, I have ordered cake just the other day. And the cake arrived and it was, you know, the whipped cream that they used, I don't know, it just didn't taste right. And she goes on to tell me what she felt so annoyed about is the fact that she has been a favorite, or rather she's been made to feel like a favorite customer of that brand, and that she always orders her children's birthday cakes. And you know, birthdays don't change. It's the same day, around the same time. And she's wondering to me, Bella, first of all, why do I need to keep doing recurrent orders? By now, these people should know that I always order around this time, every year for the last 5 years. Surely they should have mapped me out as a customer. Number two, how dare they? How dare they send me a cake that does not taste right? Number three, so she went on to list her issues. And I think as customers, that's how we feel. When a brand has not personalized their engagement with us, when we feel like they do not know us enough or do not treat us special enough. And the thing about cakes, let me just zoom in right there. The thing about cakes is that we order cakes as celebratory items, right? And we create memories around cakes. Every time we have cakes at our birthdays, our graduations, our office parties. Remember, I mentioned about exits of employees, farewells of our employees when they are leaving. Cakes are there to be mostly ceremonial, well-decorated cakes. And I see these days vendors are going all out with colors and various designs. That cake you look at and you're like, this one we will not eat. Let's just take photos and post on social. It's too pretty to cut. And there is a company out here that is used to deliveries and excellent orders for the last how many years that they are now not paying attention to what their customers are saying. So I asked my friend, did you give this feedback to that company? And she said to me, Bella, this is one of those ones you say, I walk away. This one, I just walk away. If by now they don't know it, I'm out. She's even learning how to bake cakes so she can just do them homemade. I know that's an extreme, but that's what customers do. When they check out and they find another solution. And as a business, over time, your sales are going down. You don't understand why. The number of recurrent customers and referrals are going down. You don't know why. And the answers are right in front of us. The customer has been saying it, and they feel that as a brand, you haven't been listening. And so let's even shift it to employers. Are we instituting a certain process around managing customer feedback? Are we also saying that employee feedback merged to customer feedback can show us a certain trend? That if we train our employees and if we engage employees at a level higher than we are right now, we are likely to retain these employees, and that the retention of certain departments and or engagements ensures that our customers also stay with us. We know that when some of our employees exit, especially those in customer facing teams, in sales, in customer service, customer support, when they leave, and depending even on seniority, they leave with their customers, the people they have created relationships with. And so it follows, if you retain these employees, you're likely to also retain your customers, right? Are we looking at those trends? Are we clearly double clicking and saying our business might not be doing well, not because of the economic status or COVID hit us hard, but because as a business, we did not pivot based off of what customers' choices and preferences are? Esther, I feel like I've gone on and on right there. And I see some people have dropped in their comments in the chat.
No, I honestly want to keep listening and listening. And I'm thinking, as you talk about exits of exit interviews, sometimes I think we get emotional about people who are leaving an organization and they're giving us honest feedback, At that point, I have nothing to lose. Honestly, I will tell you as it is. I am leaving, I'm exiting my job, so I need to just tell you that you're poor at 1, 2, 3, 4. But we HR or even the managers take it personally, this person is bitter, this person is, but you see, maybe they didn't have that opportunity to speak the truth. And I keep saying that your exits are your brand ambassadors. We need to be very careful because they will go and just talk the truth. I have seen organizations where one time someone was, I think I wanted to apply for a certain job, and I remembered a friend of mine, a former colleague, used to work there, and I asked him, so what do you think about this organization? And he said, just join them at your own risk. Bella, you can't. I mean, that clear. And he was a senior person in that organization. He said, join them at your own risk. Even organizations, I've seen people work in an organization, they do not believe in that organization. And the HR is trying to hint to you, please stay where you are, don't come and join us here. You know, HR has a language, or maybe the people interviewing you are thinking, so why do you want to leave your organization? Bella, you know, you look like you're growing there, you have more opportunities where you are. And someone is trying to say, please stay where you are. This place is not good, you know? So how we treat people as well, we need to be very careful, because it just it bounces back to the customer. But I'm seeing someone has said, yeah, thanks, Joseph. CX is rational, emotional, etc. aspects of experience. Thank you, Simon Frank from Tanzania, for joining us. Lucy says it's a challenge in service delivery. One time I ordered for food, it didn't arrive. When I called 3 hours after, they were surprised and promised to send a different rider who came 20 minutes after. The first rider had disappeared with our food. Imagine. Wow.
Wow.
I have seen that. And you know, people will turn back to social media. And as you said, training employees. Sometimes we don't think that investing in our employees has an impact on our customers as well. Sorry for that. So I think organizations need to understand that if we train our employees, and maybe you can speak to that, when we train our employees, then it has a ripple effect on that. So just speak to that and the trends in 2023 as we go on. Let's see trends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when it comes to training, I came upon a quote just recently when I was listening to a podcast as part of my morning routine. And the speaker, the guest in this episode, then said, if training is the answer, what is the question? And it's easy for us to go through a training program where we get our staff to come in as a group and have a classroom setting where somebody's at the front and giving all of this information, all of this knowledge over a certain period of time. And if you're in an organization where it's time that's been like put apart from your work time, this 1 week, we're going to be in an intense training, and after which you're expected to translate those learnings into your everyday work. It might be a challenge tracking how effective that training was. And if employees are not able to relate the training content to their day-to-day interactions at work, and if they're not able to take some key takeaways that they can go and practice after the training, then that was just a good time away from everyday work with tea and snacks and certificates at the end of the week, right? If training is on the job training, the experts I understand are saying 70% of good training is that which is focused with on the job practice. And then the 20% where you retain the knowledge is the training that comes from your communities and networking and peer-to-peer engagement and knowledge sharing. And then 10% is the classroom setting that I've just described. So it's known as the 70-20-10, where you get the most from on-the-job training and practicing of what you have learned, being able to get feedback from your colleagues and being able to action that feedback in a way that is very structured around coaching and mentorship. And like I said earlier, practicing the tenets, the very nuggets that you have learned, you're likely to retain that knowledge and you're able to improve when it comes to your learning and development. And right now, some of the trends, Esther, if I could digress a little bit, around recruitment. Employers right now are looking a lot more at the skills. So the roles that employers would be hiring for are skill-based. You may have studied a different course from what you're practicing, or you may have acquired certain skills that are a blend and a match to your area of expertise. For example, and we do have project managers as people who have honed that skill and they have certifications in project management. But even within my role currently, I'm expected to manage projects. And so learning basic aspects of project management, or maybe up to intermediary level of project management as a skill, is something that gives me an added bonus as an employee, as a job seeker. And so right now, as you're working in an organization and you're thinking, this is the place I want to be and this is the place I want to grow as an employee, and I know that I'm bringing value on the table, and this value is translating to my colleagues serving customers well, or to myself serving customers well, and I'm of service to this company with my skills and with all of the training opportunities that are coming across, I am honing in on those. It then translates into business outcomes that are measurable. I once worked for an employer where we looked at the previous feedback that employees had given by department over the period of time for which I was a leader in that team. And then we looked at the current scores. And the interesting thing is that all of the people in the department that I worked directly with were able to give very positive feedback, not just quantitative in terms of rating, but also the open-ended questions where you're asked, what do you think, or why have you rated a certain leader or a certain department in this way or the other? And what I remember about that feedback, it all came down to, I am growing as a person within this organization, and I feel that my interests have been factored in as I work in this organization. And we decided together with HR, because like I said, CX is not a department. If we are looking to improve our external customer experience, and we know that our internal employee experience is linked to that, how about dive deeper into the data? And I approached HR and I said, of course, for the sake of anonymity, I do not want to know who said what, but maybe we need to double click on what those teams have said. And we need to discover what it is that makes them feel very good about belonging to this employer, and why we also need to retain them. And based off of that, HR was able to identify at least 2 or 3 initiatives, one of which was mentorship and coaching, that enabled employees to show up as their best selves. And when we even double clicked further with the customer facing teams, we remember looking into some of the calls that our customer service and customer support teams had made to our customers, and those that they had picked up from our customers. We listened in on those calls and we said, these are the team members and the people that say they feel a sense of belonging in this organization. They feel seen and heard in this organization. And when you listen to their phone calls, that translates. You completely hear them testifying about the fact that they work in that organization. They speak to the trust levels and the loyalty levels of working in that organization. They endorse customers who are not yet confident about purchasing from that organization. And is it any surprise that the revenue numbers went up in a couple of months? Is it any surprise at all? And so I think let's just throw the challenge in the room. And I know we've seen a few people type in the chat, especially those asking me for the name of the store. But if you do have that sort of experience in your organization, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about it, where as an employee, you know that you are valued and that you can see it translates to how your brand is experienced out here, and the love that the customers have for your brand and the loyalty that they have for your brand, and the fact that your brand might be maybe making its way in the market in terms of penetration and market share based off of the experience that the customers have. Esther?
Wow. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking you're able to blend. And I thought about it. I'm a HR professional and I'm thinking, I don't know how many HR professionals in the room really get to sit with people like you and look at the feedback, you know, because the feedback, we are very good at doing surveys. We are very good at doing exit interviews. We are good at all this, collecting that information. But sitting down and looking inside, looking within, you know, it's very normal and natural for us to look out and say, I've had people say, you know, huyo ni sumbua. You know, when a customer just comes in and asks for 100 things, pulls everything out and doesn't buy, and you hear people say, no, huyo ni sumbua. That one is just a petty customer. You know, it's a bad approach, really bad approach. But I like the fact that you're able to look into the feedback given internally and engage other departments, because I feel HR, finance, buying, and every other department should be able to sit together and say, we are getting affected because of this and this. And I think I like also the fact that you said, you know, CX is not, it's not a department, but it is in most organizations. Let's just let's call it as it is. Most of the people in this room will tell you that for us is a department, you know, and sometimes it's pushed under marketing, it's pushed. We sometimes don't even know where it is, you know. We don't know where it is. Is it in sales? Is it in, we try to, just like people try to position HR sometimes, you know, like, do we really need HR? Do we need, what? Customer service? Why can't the salespeople just deal with the customers? You know, I think you need to speak to people in the room. Just talk to us about, and I know we are 2 minutes over our time, but talk to the people in the room that maybe would take this back to their organization, because we try to position sales and customer experience and all this whole thing to save money, but then we end up losing the money, you know. And when you said about training, I remembered the common quote that what if we train our staff and they leave?
And they leave.
And someone says, so what if we don't train them and they stay? You know, so talk to the people in the room. So how would we restructure our organizations? How would we advise the employers? How would we advise maybe our business partners as HR and the rest? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so as pertains where customer experience sits within the organization, we've seen companies transition from customer service and customer facing teams being departments to, can we all have a round table and can we all sit together and understand how our customers are making their decisions around purchase and engagement with our brands? And so you would see customer service being renamed into customer experience in some organizations. And in others, you would see customer experience being a common thread that flows through the entire organization. What do I mean when I say that? It means that there's a CX person seated in product and R&D and product development. There is a CX person seated in HR. There's a CX person seated in finance. That also morphed, and in some organizations, you will hear them say, we don't have a hierarchical structure. We have teams or we have tribes that are cross-functional. So it means that in every tribe or in every team, you have a marketing person, a CX person, a product person. And in other companies, it's very agile and it's project-based. You put together cross-functional teams whenever coming up with a solution that needs to meet our customers' needs. And so in that type of structure, there aren't specific functions that are hierarchical as we are used to, or functions that are declared, this one only speaks to a certain department and only has siloed processes and siloed systems. No one else has access to the systems that they use, kind of environment. Now what you have, and most organizations are moving towards, is having a unified platform, a common place where any data related to the organization, within certain limits, of course, not everyone will have access to all of the data in the universe of data that's available in the organization, but making sure that know your customer data that's available and that's always collected within customer service is available to marketing and informs how they do their campaigns. It is available to finance for billing. It is available to, and everyone is working within this unified platform to ensure at the end of the day that the person that benefits them the most, that the king of the business is the customer. And more organizations are realizing that as they embed technology or AI tools, in the form of chatbots and other engagements, that they need to not be siloed, and they need to ensure that people are working together cross-functionally to give business results and outcomes that speak to our customers. And just as, Esther, you said we are past our time. If I was just to bring us to a place of conclusion, we are now in the age of the customer. About a century or so ago, we were in the age of information. And before that, we were in the age of manufacturing and distribution, where goods and commodities that were produced within certain locations would be availed across the globe. We moved from that and we've come to the age of information, where the computer and technology and all these facets have enabled people to interact within the globe as a village. But right now we're in the age of the customer, where the customer has choices. They have preferences, they have options. Like, they do not have to remain loyal to your brand. They can go to the shop and say, nipe ile omoya Ariel kind of situation, where the customer can use a tagline from one brand referring to another item that they need from another brand. That's where we are. And for organizations to understand the winning factor, the differentiating factor right now, is to have a pulse on what customers are saying and the sort of engagement they're having with your brand, and quickly, in the most agile way, gather people together cross-functionally and solve for those problems, right? And that is what will get us over the fence. That is what will get us over the hurdles.
I think we can't finish this. We can't finish this, but allow me to just Jacinta says employers should also recognize employees as their first customers, and how they feel about the organization is what makes the organization thrive. Cynthia, looking deeper into the insights and actioning them is a real deal. Lack of action pushes away respondents. And we suffer that in organizations. You give feedback, nothing is done. Customers give feedback, nothing is done. And this habit of covering issues, it's like we don't want other people in the other departments to know that a customer complained until it goes out into social media, and then sometimes as employers we think our employees have not seen it. They have seen it, and some of them are clapping. They're saying good riddance. One time maybe as we close, I went into a petrol station and fueled Bella, and I fueled 1,000 shillings of water. That's a worst. The engine just knocked, things just went off. A few meters away from the station, my car stalled. Now I called the mechanic and he asked me, where have you come from? I said, I've just fueled. He said, now let's pull this one aside and check. And he said, you just got some water worth 1,000 shillings. And we walked back into the petrol station, and there was a lineup of cars. The entire estate actually had had cars stalled, you know. And when I got back there, trying to find, of course, the sales guys didn't deny. They said, you're not the only one, that's why it's good sometimes to get receipts. You're not the only one, even this one's and another one had just told at the pump. I think the guy had just put in full tank. You know how bad that is. So one of the guys at the station told me, this has to stop, because the owner of the station told us to sell the fuel, knowing that because it was a season of rains, knowing that it just had water in it, somehow the tank was leaking. So he says it's a good way to just stop this, because we are selling this fuel to people and the owner knows that something is wrong. So we say, okay, we pull the vehicles there and park them, and the following day we come back and the people were rude. I'm telling you, Bella, the cars were stalled. People were just full at the station, and the guys there were rude. No, we are not going to do it. We will do this. In a few minutes, the media was in the house. It got that bad, The media was called in, and the station was closed. Now, had they handled the customers better, because it's a complaint and you simply just say, we are sorry for this, we will fix this, but you don't tell people to pull their cars away from your station. I think people just got upset and said, you got us into this mess and you will repair. So I think it's also how we handle people and how we handle issues. We can't finish this. Someone says we need employee experience should be an independent department. It's the only department that safeguards the interest of employees, colleagues, given that HR safeguards the interest of the organization. Wow. I don't want to say much about that, but HR should. I am a firm believer that HR should be balanced. And I think if HR professionals get to the place where they know how to say no to the employer and say no with respect, I think the employer will be able to look at both sides, But if you lean on the organization side, then the employees will suffer and they cannot trust you. I always feel like HR department is a safe space that people want to run to, so that they can come and just vent out and really speak the truth. I have had an employee, Bella, maybe as we close, that a friend of mine calls me and says, hey, Esther, what's happening to your organization? One of your employees was in my office for an interview. And I'm thinking, because we are HR professionals, we talk. And I said, okay, who was that? And he said, so-and-so. And so when the guy came back on Monday, I called him into the room and I said, were you on leave? Yes. Okay. It comes like leave. So I said, you're on leave? Yes. Did you travel to this place? And the guy was honest. He said, yes, I did. And I said, now I want us to have a candid conversation. And it is not an attack on you. I honestly want you to give me feedback as HR, why you want to leave us as an organization. And the guy knew, and I said, I'm aware you went for an interview, but that's not the issue. You see, the issue here is that you want to leave us and there must be something with us, that doesn't make you happy as an internal person, internal customer, that you're looking for outside. And he was honest. He gave me the honest feedback. And I told him, now I want you to feel safe in this place because I'm going to call your boss into this meeting. And I called the boss and I said, this issue has nothing to do with this guy that wants to leave. It has it has everything to do with you as a line manager and me as a HR. So this gentleman is just saying that he's not a happy internal customer and he's saying it in a different way by exiting, And so we handled the issue and it was resolved and the gentleman is still in that organization. We did not attack the person. So I think it's also maturity in the way we handle things, because sometimes you will attack the person, you attack a customer and the rest. And we can never finish this, Bella. I know people will want to keep in touch with Bella. Maybe I'm hoping that Angie is not in the room. But I know people would really want to have conversations with you. And that's what we do in Conversations with Esther. We bring you seasoned speakers so that if you need this kind of a talk, you speak to us. Feel free to follow me on LinkedIn, Esther Katiba, and let's chat. I will connect you with Bella. I am that very open person because we need you to prosper. We need your organizations to go quite well as well. We also offer trainings as well. So speak to us and we will be able to have this conversation with Bella. Bella, as a parting shot, I know today we've gone to 8:15. As a parting shot, what would you have to tell us so that we go thinking and digesting what you have told us?
I'll end with one of my favorite quotes, and I use it as a mantra. It's by Saint Jerome. It says, good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best. It speaks to continuous improvement and a growth mindset. That's what I'll close with today.
Wow. Wow. I know Lucy will say that I didn't read. What happens if an employee puts you, the HR, as their referee, and a potential employer calls you when he or she is still working for you? Clearly, I think I want to say something, Bella, maybe as we close, that there's no employee that is, unless they're the owners of the business, that are meant to stay with you for life. And I think HR needs to understand that, you know, if someone calls you to ask you, and I think also it's unprofessional, let me put it this way, to call the current employer when the employee is still there if you have not offered the person a job already. Because you really putting that person in a bad place, you know, because the first thing the HR says, oh, you mean that person is looking for a job and this and this. But I think it's also good for you as a HR to take it positively, listen, and then have a conversation, because you might want to keep the person, but they want to go. Just the other day, I know Bella moved. Bella, if we had called your former employer, you know, I think it's just wisdom. HR professionals in the room, please do not call current employers unless you have made up your mind and given the job offer to the person. I think just be fair to that person. And even if you're called, if the person is a good employee, just say it as it is. I think it doesn't hurt. The person will want to, either if they've made up their mind they're leaving you, they will leave you. And some employees will even leave you for no job if you're bad. They would rather be jobless than be with you. So you're better off just giving them a recommendation and wishing them well. You also left a different organization. I'm hoping that you also came from somewhere to join that organization. So just be fair to the people and don't mess their future. Thank you, everybody. Asanteni sana. Thank you for joining us. Let's keep in touch. Next Wednesday, same place. Next Wednesday, we talk about budgeting. I know it's a tough season for Kenyans, especially. We'll talk about budgeting. We have David Tanki, is a professional in this matter. So we will talk about budgeting and we see how we can align in different things. Asanteni sana. Enjoy your evening. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, and God bless you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.